Hi, NDA. This is Mr. Jenkins, and we have to have a discussion about an important issue: stealing. So I'm going to start with a little story. This is me and my son, Nathan. And a number of years ago, we went backpacking, and we were driving up towards the mountains where we were going to go backpacking, and there was a little store, and we saw outside the store this guy running, and in his arms he had a case of beer, and behind him was another guy running. Like I'm running. And this guy was yelling, "Stop." And they were running down the street. And so I said to my son, I said, "Nate, man, that really stinks." And Nate says, "Well, Dad, I know the guy's stealing, but it's only a case of beer. Why is the store owner making such a big deal out of it?" So it wasn't that he didn't know that stealing isn't the right thing to do, but he really just couldn't understand why this guy would be making such a fuss over a case of beer. I think he was probably about 16, 17 years old at the time, maybe a little bit younger. So I decided to do some math with him. I said, "Nate, if a case of beer costs $20. That doesn't seem like a lot of money, especially for a store owner, maybe. Right? But if the store owner makes a profit of 5% on what he sells, then we have to set up a little equation. We go sell, not seal. Sell times 5% equals $20. And of course, we divide both sides by 5%. Let's pull up the calculator here. And I'm going to say 20 divided by 0.05 equals $400. So it wasn't just like the guy was taking $20 from him. The guy who was stealing the case of beer, who might have just thought, "Hey, this is just a case of beer. Why is the guy making such a big fuss?" He was really making the store owner work for an additional $400 to cover the $20 that he was stealing from that case of beer. That's a big difference. It takes a lot of work to sell $400 worth of stuff. It's not like he was just stealing $20. Now, as you know, Chef Mark runs the cafeteria. What you might not know is that is Chef Mark's business. That is not part of NDA. It's Chef Mark's business. Now, I don't know what Chef Mark's profit margin is, but let's assume it's 5%. So if somebody takes a soda from Chef Mark that costs $1, we divide that dollar by 0.05, and we find out that it's going to cost Chef Mark $20 of additional sales to replace that $1 can of Coke. And I hate to report to you that there has been a little rash of things like this going on. Chef Mark has been losing some money to people taking things and not paying for it. In fact, we found out the other day that at some point, Chef Mark lost $162, and I believe it was in a day. Now, this is really disturbing for a couple of reasons. One is if I take my 162 and I divide that by 0.05, I found out that Chef Mark has to sell $3,240 worth of stuff to recover the $162 that was not accounted for in his cash till. I think a little more disturbing is that if I say, I mean, it's hard to take a lot of stuff from Chef Mark, I mean, the things don't cost that much, but if the average theft was, say, $2 of stuff, 2 into 162 is 81. That means that 81 people took something without paying. If I divide 81 by the approximately 400 students in the school, I find out that 20% of the school is taking stuff from Chef Mark. I have trouble believing it, but regardless, it's a very disturbing number. I'm sure you will agree it's a very disturbing number. Now, part of the reason something like this might be happening is because many of us look at NDA as a home. We feel real comfortable here, and we can go into the cafeteria and we can say, oh, you know, I don't seem to have any money today. You know, I'm just going to take a couple things that I need, and I'll come back and pay tomorrow. And then just kind of forget about it, you know, because we are comfortable here and we want to be comfortable here. But we have to be cognizant of the fact that this, in fact, although we feel like it's a home, that piece of NDA is Chef Mark's business. And taking something from him is not the right thing to do. And also, we have to remember that Chef Mark is not a bank. Chef Mark is a chef. He runs a cafeteria. He is not in business to loan us money when we don't have it. Finally, I need to point out that the honor pledge says a couple of things. One is it says, I'm going to respect other people and their belongings. And another thing that it says is I'm going to inspire and encourage those around me to act with honor. What this means in this case, to me, of course, respect other people and their belongings means don't take stuff that's not yours. But the inspire and encourage those around me to act with honor has very important implications. The main one, in my opinion, is that doing nothing when you see something wrong is not an option. If you see somebody taking something that is not theirs, you have an obligation to do something. You might want to tell a teacher. You might want to tell Dean Berlin. Or you might want to tell the person who is taking, this is not cool. and let them know that you saw that they did it and that this isn't the way we want to have our school operate. But doing nothing is not an option. The Honor Code is telling us, hey, we have to work as a community to uphold this pledge. So I am encouraging you to help the school and to help Chef Mark by taking a stand, and when you see something like this going on, doing something so that we can have an atmosphere in the school where people feel respected and feel comfortable with their belongings.
Thank you.